That soft cooing sound coming from your backyard every morning, do you actually know what's making it? A lot of people think it's an owl. It's not. It's a mourning dove. And that bird you've been half ignoring for years is quietly one of the most surprising creatures in your yard. There's one fact in this video, the last one, that stops people cold every time. Most folks guess this bird lives maybe 5 or 6 years. The real answer isn't even close to that. Stay until the end. Number 1, that bird is making milk right now. Most people look at a mourning dove and think, simple bird, eats seeds, makes a sad little sound, moves on. There's not much going on there. But here's something almost nobody knows. Right now, if there's a pair of mourning doves nesting anywhere near your yard, at least one of them might be producing milk. Not the way a cow does, not the way you do, but milk, a real, thick, protein-packed liquid made inside the bird's throat. It's called crop milk. The crop is a small pouch near the base of a bird's throat where food gets stored before digestion. In mourning doves, and only a handful of other species on the planet, including pigeons and flamingos, the lining of that crop can actually produce a substance that works like milk. It's rich in protein and fat. It looks a little like cottage cheese. And for the first few days of a baby dove's life, that's all it eats. What makes it even stranger is that both parents make it, not just the mother. The father produces crop milk too, and both of them take turns feeding the chicks. Think about that for a second. This is a backyard bird making milk in its throat with its partner. After about a week, they start mixing in seeds. By the end of 2 weeks, the chick is eating what the adults eat. But those first few days, it's pure liquid protein from inside the parents' bodies, delivered beak to beak. Number 2, the worst builder in your backyard. If you've ever found a mourning dove nest, you already know, it looks like the bird gave up halfway through. Most songbirds build nests that are genuinely impressive, tightly woven, deep, insulated, structurally sound. A house finch nest looks like something a very small, very skilled builder spent a week on. A mourning dove nest looks like something scattered by the wind and then called finished. We're talking about a loose, flat layer of twigs, sometimes just a few sticks, barely a platform. They're so thin that if you look up at one from below, you can often see straight through it to the eggs sitting on top. Eggs that, by the way, can just roll off, because there's no real rim, barely any structure at all. And they'll build these in some genuinely wild spots. A parking structure, a windshield wiper on a car someone hasn't moved in a week, a decorative light fixture, the top of a downspout. There's a photo that makes the rounds online every spring. A mourning dove nest on a car, no more than 5 or 6 sticks, 2 eggs sitting directly on the metal, parents taking turns sitting on them like this is all perfectly normal. The strange thing is, it mostly works, because while mourning doves are terrible architects, they're incredibly dedicated parents. They take turns sitting on those eggs almost constantly. They don't leave them exposed. They just do it badly and commit fully. Up to 5 or 6 broods in a single year, 2 chicks each time. That's potentially 12 baby doves from one pair in one season. Bad nests, good parents, a lot of offspring. Number 3, that slow bird is faster than almost everything chasing it. Here's the version of a mourning dove most people have in their head. Round, a little fluffy, waddling around under the feeder, picking up the seeds everyone else dropped. Slow, gentle, a bit sleepy looking. That bird can hit 55 miles per hour. That's faster than a Cooper's hawk in a flat-out chase, faster than a sharp-shinned hawk, faster than almost every predator that tries to catch one in open air. The mourning dove's body is built for speed in a way that completely contradicts how it looks when it's sitting still. Long tail, tapered wings, a flight profile that aeronautical engineers would actually recognize as efficient. When a mourning dove takes off fast because something scared it, you hear it before you see it move. That sharp whistling sound the wings make on takeoff isn't random, it's an alarm signal. The wing feathers are shaped in a way that creates that whistle specifically when the bird launches hard. Other doves hear it, and they go too. One bird spooks, and before any of them have even looked up to see what the threat is, the whole group is already in the air. The sound is the warning. And that cooing you hear every morning that sounds like an owl, that soft 4-note call, that's not mourning at all. It's a contact call. Male doves use it to locate other doves and to signal that they're around. People have called wildlife hotlines convinced they have owls. They had doves. Very loud, very committed doves. If backyard bird behavior like this catches you off guard, you'll want to see what we found about the blue jays in your yard too. That one surprised even us. But for now, back to the dove. Number 4. That bird at your feeder is storing more food than you'd believe. You've probably noticed that mourning doves spend a lot of time at the feeder, a lot of time. They're big, they take up space, and they have a way of just camping there while the smaller birds wait around the edges, hopping back watching, waiting for a gap that never really opens. There's a reason for that, and it has nothing to do with greed. Remember the crop, that storage pouch in the throat we talked about earlier? Mourning doves use it like a backpack. While they're feeding, they're not just eating, they're packing it away to digest somewhere safer, somewhere away from the open ground where a hawk or a neighborhood cat could catch them mid-meal. It's a survival strategy disguised as bad manners. They can eat fast, fill the crop almost to bulging, and then fly off to a quiet branch to let the food work its way down at their own pace. Which means every time you see one sitting at your feeder for 10 minutes, it's not eating slowly, it's loading up as fast as its body allows. One mourning dove was recorded with 17,000 seeds in its crop at one time. 17,000 individual seeds stored in a pouch in its throat, in one single sitting. Researchers who study crop capacity say it's one of the more extreme examples recorded in any backyard songbird-sized species. That's roughly a teaspoon of seeds crammed into a bird that weighs about the same as a small lemon, maybe a little more. And every single day, a mourning dove eats somewhere between 12 and 20% of its own body weight in seeds, sometimes more during colder months when they're burning through energy just to stay warm overnight. If you weigh 170 pounds and you ate 20% of your body weight in one day, that's 34 pounds of food gone, in a single sitting, every day without fail. The doves doing this every day look completely unbothered by it. No panic, no rush that you can see from the outside, just a calm, steady, almost mechanical intake that never seems to slow down. So when people complain that mourning doves monopolize the feeder, camping there while the chickadees and finches wait their turn, they're right, but there's actual biology behind it, not just bad manners. It's a bird built to eat in bursts and disappear, not to graze politely all day like some of its smaller neighbors. Number 5. The dove you saw this morning might be older than your car. Here's the one. Most people, if you ask them to guess how long a mourning dove lives, would say 3 years, maybe 5. They're small. They're everywhere. They seem fragile. The nest is terrible, as we just covered. The odds feel like they shouldn't be good for a bird that builds a nest out of a handful of loose twigs and hopes for the best. The oldest known mourning dove on record lived to be over 30 years old. 30 years. Let that sit for a second, because most backyard birders have never even considered a number that high. This bird was banded by researchers in 1968, back when the moon landing hadn't even happened yet, and it was recovered in Florida in 1998. 30 years in the wild, 30 winters, 30 breeding seasons, probably thousands of trips to feeders exactly like yours, across 3 full decades of change happening all around it. Now, to be clear, most wild mourning doves don't make it to 30, and researchers are careful to point that out every time this record comes up. Most don't make it past 2 or 3 years. Predators, weather windows, and cars account for a lot of them early, long before they'd ever get the chance to prove what the species is actually capable of. But the biology is there. The potential is there, sitting quietly inside every single dove on your fence right now. And the fact that it happened once, verified, documented, banded, means the bird you're looking at through your kitchen window isn't necessarily the short-lived, easily replaced backyard visitor you thought it was. That dove on your fence might be 8 years old, might be 12, might be older than the car parked in your own driveway. It might have been visiting a feeder in your neighborhood since before you moved in, since before your kids were born, since before half the houses on your street were even built. It survived hawks and winters and every cat that's ever tried to get it, survived storms and droughts and the slow creep of suburban development eating into its habitat year after year. And every morning it shows up a little rounder than it needs to be, eating 20% of its body weight and cooing at nothing in particular, completely unaware of just how remarkable its own quiet survival actually is. Mourning dove. You've walked past it 1,000 times without a second glance. It sat on the same fence post while you did yard work, while you took out the trash, while you had a bad week and then a good one, while entire years of your life happened around it without it ever once being the main character in any of them. It makes milk in its throat, a biological trick shared by almost no other bird on the planet. It builds the worst nest in the neighborhood and somehow still raises 12 chicks a year in it, turning bad architecture into a numbers game it consistently wins. It can hit 55 miles per hour when something scares it, outrunning hawks that most people assume are far faster than any bird at a feeder could ever be. It stores thousands of seeds in a pouch you didn't even know it had, quietly solving a survival problem most of us never think twice about. And somewhere out there, one of them made it to 30 years old, a lifespan that puts most house pets to shame. The most ordinary bird in your yard, and it was never ordinary, not for one single day of its long unnoticed life. If this changed how you'll look at your feeder tomorrow morning, send it to someone who feeds birds too, someone who's probably walked past this exact same bird 1,000 times without knowing any of this. Tell me in the comments, have you ever watched a mourning dove nest, or had one show up somewhere completely ridiculous, a windshield, a light fixture, somewhere you never expected? I want to hear it. I read every single one, and some of the best stories in this comment section have come straight from people just like you. I'll see you in the next one.